I am very happy my son is becoming successful.
That's Mrs. Jesuwame, the mother of 10-year-old Ferdinand, the chess champion with cerebral palsy. Ferdinand lives with his mom and 3 other siblings in Makoko, the largest floating slum in the world. At Makoko, life is hard. There are no public health centers. Getting a child formal education is tough, as there are no public schools in the community.
He doesn't go to school because I have no money. He's willing to go, but I cannot afford to send him to school. I have 4 children, and none of them attend school at the moment. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. These are the 2 boys.
Ferdinand barely speaks and has had to deal with bullying and abuse from his peers because of his disorder. He almost missed the opportunity to play chess when he was once again pushed aside by his mates.
Whenever he goes out to play with his mates, they're always bullying and calling him a dunce. Whenever they call him a dunce, he usually returns home to tell me that, "Mommy, my mates are calling me a dunce." I usually tell him that in the name of Jesus Christ, those mocking you will not die. And you will also not die, so that they can see in future that the boy they used to mock is now famous. In the name of Jesus Christ, you will become an important child in this community, and you will travel to London. I used to tell him this.
When we came into the community of Makoko, we wanted to just profile 20 children to work with. There are a lot of children here, so we couldn't teach all of them at the same time because we didn't have the resources for that. So we wanted to profile just 20 children, and that was the day I saw him. He came around, but the other children in the community kept pushing him back, because of his, disability, and because of that, I saw he felt defeated. He was being mocked by his peers that, he shouldn't be there because it was for something that he wanted to teach them. And I looked at the little boy and I just brought him in and I told them to write his name. I had never really taught a differently able child chess before. So I wasn't sure how, it was going to cope with learning, but I still decided to give him a chance, and that is one thing, that is the essence of what we do, giving every child, a chance, irrespective of where they come from or who they are.
Tunde Onokoya, who runs the non-profit organization Chess in Slums Africa, was amazed by Ferdinand's talent and aptitude for the game.
It was just amazing when we started teaching them. After the first, few classes, amongst all his peers, he was the best. He outperformed every other person. And I was really surprised because he couldn't speak any English word. And to be able to teach, you need to be able to communicate, with a child. But we're not able to communicate with him, through the English language. But through recognition of patterns, he was able to understand, what the teacher was trying to teach him. And that was all he needed, and began to really display sparks of genius. I'm a national master, I've taught a lot of children, but what I saw was different, for a child, like Ferdinand. And so I kept monitoring his progress, watching his improvements. And on the day of the tournament, I had high expectations. A lot of the children too, performed exceptionally well. But I knew that, for him to really take this home, he had to give his best performance. And on that day, he showed up, like a true champion, and he played one of the best, he gave one of the best performances, I'd ever seen, for a beginner, at the beginner level.
Chess has put Ferdinand in the spotlight. He's somewhat a celebrity in his community, and his story serves as inspiration to other kids.
Look at Ferdinand's story now. Ferdinand, despite being a child that was being bullied, by other children, became a champion here in this community. And he got to meet the governor of Lagos State, because of that. So, they see that now, and going forward, they will be more receptive, towards our program, allow their children, learn, and eventually allow them go to school to get an education.
Ferdinand's mom was ecstatic when she was informed that her child would meet the governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. She could barely sleep and counted hours to the break of dawn.
I was very happy. It all got to wake me up in goodness. I woke up very early around past 4 a.m. and prepared for the visit. I bathed my son and both of us dressed up. Thereafter, I called Uncle Tunde to ask him how we would get there because my son and I were dressed up and ready. Uncle Tunde told me he would come when it was past 7 a.m. to pick us. He later came in a car and took us to meet the governor. I was so overjoyed that my son too could mix with very important people in government in Lagos State.
For Ferdinand and the other kids at Makoko, Chess in Slums Africa spared no effort in inspiring hope and making them feel like champions.
For the tournament in Makoko on the final day, we had a revolutionary idea to do something a bit differently. So we made suits, 3-piece suits for all the children, and about 30 children. And the idea behind that was to give them a new image of themselves. Because a lot of people come to places like this and it is clear that this is one of the poorest places in the world. And they instead just highlight the poverty, without really doing anything, to uplift them. So what we wanted to do was to tell the story from a different perspective. Instead of just highlighting the fact that they are poor, it is clear that they are poor, and wanted to show the best image of these children so they can see themselves, looking good in a suit. And hey, you can grow up to become a lawyer and grow up to become a doctor, and you'd always get to dress like this. And just a beautiful moment, watching them look, much differently from a child from a slum community would normally look like. So we do those kind of things to give them a life-changing experience, to make them see themselves, differently, not just as slum children, but as children who have the potential to become great in the future.
Chess in Slums Africa hopes to raise funds to enroll the Makoko kids on scholarship support with the Chess for Education campaign. Besides the gift of chess, Tunde hopes people can contribute to help checkmate illiteracy and give the kids a formal education.